In this video, I'm going to show you one way of calculating the mean. This is actually not the way that people usually explain first, but I think it's a nice way to explain first for two reasons. First of all, it helps you really get a good understanding of what the mean is. And second of all, it's really good for mental math. If you've got nice numbers, I think this is the way that most people who are experienced with the mean would calculate it mentally. Now, the big drawback of this is if the numbers are messy, it is not very helpful at all. So this, I called it by redistributing. I think it's maybe also helpful to think about the words fair share. We're doing a fair share with, of these numbers. Alright, so first we'll calculate the mean of 4 and 8. So I'm going to use my little cubes here. There's 4, and there's 8. So I want to take these cubes and distribute them so that they're the same number in each of the two piles. I have to end up with the same number of piles I started with. So if I have two numbers, I want two piles. There we go, I've got it. So the mean of 4 and 8 is this number here, 6. Right. Okay, let's do another similar one. Suppose we've got three numbers this time. We have 4, 8, and 9. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so now we'll redistribute these, make it nice and fair. There we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the mean of 4, 8, and 9 is 7. Alright, I want to do this next one because it's quite similar, but it really shows a little bit of, well, you'll see. There's 8, and 4, 8, and 9. Okay, and this one was going to be 4, 8, and 10. Use the blue one there so you can see it clearly. So we start off just the same as we did before. And here we run into a little problem in that this blue guy here, each of these piles has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but this blue one here, we need to distribute that evenly. So with whole numbers, there's no way we can do that, but we can absolutely do that with fractions. If we imagine cutting this in thirds, which I'm definitely not going to do, but you can certainly imagine, we could give a third to the first pile, a third to the second, and the last third to the third pile. So the mean of 7, 8, and 10 is 7 and a third. Alright, let's look at this last one here. This next one, 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5 numbers. 100, 300, 300, 300, and 1,000. Now, I'm not in the mood to get out 1,000 little cubes, but we could certainly, what we could do is we could just let one of these cubes represent 100. I think the way these numbers are, that'll work really nicely because they're all multiples of 100. So that represents 100 for the first number. There's 300. There's another 300. We need 3 300s. There we go. And for 1,000, we need 10 hundreds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, they don't have to be lined up, but I think it's nice because it really helps you see when you've got things shared equally. Okay, so this is representing 100, 300, 300, 300, and 1,000. Alright, so I'm going to start off. I know I need to pass some of these ones around here. There we go. There we go. So that one worked out quite nicely. So the mean of 100, 300, 300, 300, and 1,000 is 400. But as you notice, this one is starting to get a little bit more tricky. It was maybe, because we had a whole lot to redistribute, it might have been a little bit harder to do in our heads, or to imagine. I think still it's not bad, because everything was coming from this one big stack here as we were passing it out, so it would be not too hard to keep track of in your heads, but it's certainly harder to keep track of than it was when we just had 4 and 8. Alright, and let's look at this last one. We need the mean of 26, 17, 89, 42, 74, 88, 91, and 64. Now, I am just going to say, This is not a good method for doing this question. So I'm going to write not practical with this method. Is it possible? It absolutely is. Is it practical? No. This is, I would say, a bad method for doing calculating this mean right here. So a question like this, I'd hope that you'd use this method maybe in your head and just to imagine sort of sharing out the cubes or whatever they are. A question like this, I think this is not a good method, and the next video will show you a much more sensible method to use for a question like this. Okay, good luck.